Well, it's time now for today's perspective, and today we're looking at the new rules of love, sex and couple formation in an age of online dating websites. It's the title of a new book by our guest today, a study that looks at how we interact differently with each other when we meet on a forum that has been specifically set up for dating. Researcher and sociologist Mary Bergstrom, thanks for your time and coming in to talk to us. Now, it's a wide study. It looks at dating websites in particular rather than meeting online on other social forums, which is different again. But can I start with one thing that particularly struck me in online dating? We seem to have maintained some very old-fashioned ideas, notably that the men make the first move.
Yeah, it's true. It's true for France, it's true for other countries as well. You can see it in the United States, but also in Germany, that men do make the first move, meaning that most emails that are sent by the male users, and female often tend to have kind of a more passive role. And so, yeah, it goes against some idealistic views that we have of the internet that's still very strong, this idea that it's a network where everyone can speak with everyone, and we're not constrained by social roles or gender roles. And actually, we see a lot of reproduction of these norms online.
And another thing that comes out is female reactions often, that they feel that because they've signed up to an online dating, it's like they've given consent to something that goes beyond perhaps a first date or a first meetup.
Yeah, and so you have this, because that's how you can explain why do men take the first move and why do women have this more passive role. I mean, for one thing, it's what we expect of them. A woman that would start contacting a lot of men, she's actually considered to be suspect, a bit bizarre. So it's conforming to norms and expectations, but it's also, as you say, a way for women to kind of keep in control of interactions, meaning that not making the first move is a way to say that we'll see what's going to happen. It's not because I go to date offline that we're going to go further. So it's also a female strategy to stay in control about what is going to happen.
And to stay safe. So a lot of the norms, if you like, of dating in any forum being maintained online, but it has opened up other freedoms in a way. It seems like people's exploration of relationships and sexual couples seems to have widened thanks to these sites.
Yes, we do see changes in sexual behavior, and it's actually, we can say that online dating also leads to a lot of casual dating. So we have a sort of sexual experimentation online, and a lot of things have been said about this, and sometimes people say there's been a change in attitudes or a revolution or a big change in norms. Actually, I put forth something else, meaning that online dating is meeting people outside of your social circle and often without people knowing of it. So it's much more discreet, and this is a huge change, and it actually makes having these sort of sexual relationships much more easier because people are not judged on their behavior. So that's a big change.
A massive freedom, and also I imagine introducing us to people that we wouldn't have necessarily met in our own social structure, so maybe widening our horizons, even though I know you've said it's a segregated
Yes.
democratization of our dating pool.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part of online dating. It actually, as you say, makes us go above our social circles, kind of widening the pool of potential partners. But what is interesting is that this does not mean that we meet people that are very diverse or different from ourselves. We actually see a strong trend of homogamy, the tendency of people meeting and having the same social background. And this is a tendency that's very strong offline, and we actually find the same thing online. So we go out of our social circles, but at the same time we end up meeting people that kind of have the same traits.
I guess that's what appeals, what we recognize in other people. But of course, a lot of people say because they're not in our social structure, there's a lot of fears around meeting people online because people can lie to us easier. Is it more dangerous?
No, it's not more dangerous. I think that they relies on a fear that also you can see among women. Meeting men that you don't know online is, of course, can be an experience that's a bit frightening. But we know from a lot of research that sexual violence is more common in the private sphere, and it happens with people that you know. It's often your boyfriend, your friend, and so actually the private sphere is much more dangerous for women than the public sphere. And so we do not see a particularly dangerous context online, but of course meeting people that you do not know, it's sometimes uneasing.
Indeed, like anywhere, as you say. But when it began, there was a certain stigma, at least here in France, to meeting people online. Has that now been gotten rid of?
Well, it's become more accepted, at least, meaning that when these dating services started, it was really a very stigmatized practice. In the same way that older dating services were also stigmatized, because this is not the first time we have a commercial service. We have the personal ads, we had before matrimonial agencies, and that has always been a practice that's been kind of looked down on. And when the online dating came, it was the same thing, but now we have more people using it, and they kind of took away the social stigma. So. But still today, it's considered to be more romantic, more acceptable to meet a person offline than meeting a person on these sites.
And indeed, according to your studies, the majority of couples are formed more offline, despite the high amount of people signing up for these dating websites.
Yeah, there's sometimes this idea that today online dating would be the major way of meeting your partner. This is not the case. It's not the case in France. It's not the case in other countries either. We have a survey in France made in 2013. It was actually the 5th most common meeting venue. And still in France, it's more common to meet your partner at the workplace, at university, a party, a public setting, or a more private setting. So it's gone big, but it's not the dominant way of meeting.
But finally, overall, it sounds like these dating websites have a positive influence on us overall.
Well,
just another option.
Well, it's another option. Yeah, I mean, it comes with new inequalities. It comes with a certain uneasy experience. But for other people, it can have also a positive effect of meeting new partners, especially for people a little bit older who have trouble repartnering because people in your surrounding are married and you don't have the same opportunities to find a spouse. And so I think today, online dating is really going to go big among older people, separated people who want to repartner.
Okay, fascinating stuff. Marie Bergström, thanks so much for coming in and giving us a taste of your studies there. Marie Bergström's there with her new book, The New Laws of Love. That brings us to the end of this edition of Perspective.